From time to time, we come across ethical concerns pertaining to certain organizations. These ethical concerns could range from frauds to financial misappropriation to sexual misconduct or any other. Ethical concerns can impact even the strongest of organizations or organizations with a robust legacy. When it comes to these ethical concerns, the concept of psychological safety is extremely vital. So, what is psychological safety? Psychological safety is a shared belief whereby every team member within an organization realizes and understands, irrespective of whatever he or she speaks up, especially pertaining to something wrong happening within the organization, the person would not be victimized or possibly would not pay a price for speaking out the truth. And that's what psychological safety is all about. In fact, psychological safety and implementing it and making every team member has the thought of psychological safety is the responsibility and duty of every leader, right from the senior management to the line managers. And when it comes to team members, having this belief of psychological safety is every team member's right. And that's what across the organization the thought process should be permeated. Now, the unfortunate reality is in many organizations, psychological safety is basically just given lip service. A lot of people fear in terms of speaking up, especially when they see some fraud or some other wrongdoing happening in the organization, and they prefer to keep silent. And many a times, the issue is the psychological safety or the belief of psychological safety does not manifest with the line managers. So if a person down the ranks has observed something wrong, it could be pertaining to any department. So these ethical concerns may not be restricted to a specific department or function. It can happen possibly in any unit within the organization. So in case a person down the ranks observes something wrong and informs that to the line managers, many a times line managers by themselves may not have this concept or belief of psychological safety, and that becomes a problem. And because of which many a times people do not escalate these issues, fearing that they would face retribution or be victimized for being outspoken pertaining to the wrong that they have observed, and then they prefer to remain silent. In fact, in a lot of cases pertaining to frauds or any of the ethical or moral issues within organizations, it has been brought to light that there are certain employees at the junior or middle level who possibly realized that what was going on is wrong. And in some cases, they would have informed their superiors. Unfortunately, because matters were happening in collusion, there was nothing done. In certain cases, these people, especially junior level people who observed wrongdoing, they decided to stay mum. They thought that in case they come up with this thought or they share this with people who are their bosses, they may face retribution or be victimized. So that is a apt case of lack of psychological safety. Now the problem with psychological safety is many a times the psychological safety of an organization is impacted or people stop believing in this concept because they are continuously going through cases of wrongdoing or ethical challenges. And that's where this concept of psychological safety vanishes from the organizational perspective. So every leader needs to understand its importance. Psychological safety cannot be just a lip service. You need to implement it, and the organization needs to provide psychological safety to its team members, not only pertaining to ethical issues, also pertaining to other factors pertaining to their work performance in terms of how they are judged based on how they look or on basis of other factors like their religion, caste, creed or certain other preferences. So every organization needs to ensure that there is absolute transparency of communication, and pertaining to whatever people need to speak out or can speak out, they should be allowed to speak out and share their opinions freely. In case that is not going to be a case, then the organization possibly doesn't have a strong sense of psychological safety, and it's going to be the responsibility of leaders to implement it. I've observed a lot of organizations where leaders who are really keen to implement psychological safety, they conduct anonymous surveys to understand what is the belief or thought pertaining to this concept in the minds of team members. This is a fantastic way to understand how strong the concept of psychological safety within your organization is. So all you leaders who possibly do not just believe that psychological safety is just an element of lip service and you need to actually implement it, possibly can benefit from doing or conducting such anonymous surveys and ensure that psychological safety is a thought and belief which permeates from the top management to the junior most ranks of the organization. So my best wishes to you to implement and ensure that psychological safety takes robust importance within your organization. Thank you very much.